What's up, everybody? We are back to Seminole Hard Rock Tampa. Yesterday's table was really soft. I really like what I've seen here. Players were either way more loose aggressive than they should or loose passive. I've seen a lot of room to exploit their leaks. Right now is a Saturday afternoon and hopefully we will play good and things will go my way. Welcome to the Poker Profit channel, the first poker vlog created to help you become a better poker player. I'm buying for 500. First hand, I'm in the under the gun +1 with King Jack suited. I already see one limper before me, great sign. I raise to 25, only cut off and big blind call, limper folds and 3 players see the flop, which is a great one. Jack, Jack 9 with 2 hearts. I see bet $45, which I think is a mistake. A third of the pot would be more than enough, so betting something like $30 would be way better. They both fold and I win the hand. Next hand, we're on the button with pocket queens. Under the gun raises 20. I'm gonna 3-bet here. I re-raise to 65. Only under the gun call, so we go heads up to the flop, which comes queen, jack, 8 with 2 clubs. I have top set, but that's a pretty draw heavy connected board, so I'm gonna c-bet. I c-bet $55. Again, I believe $45 or $50 is a better sizing. He folds and I win the second hand. Next hand I get 10-8 offsuit, button straddles, 2 limpers. I had just come back to the table, so I had to post $5 to join. So I complete to $10. Hijack raises 35, button calls, big blind calls, under the gun calls, and here I gotta call 25 for a pot that has 157, so I call as well. From the low jack, 7 players see the flop, which comes 4, 6, 7 with 2 diamonds. I got a double gutter, going for the nuts if a 9 without the diamond comes. A woman in the under the gun shoves all in for $75. Double gutter, I also have 2 overs to the board, calling 75 for a pot that has 257. I call.
Players moving all in.
I was hoping to do that, thank you for the protection. Appreciate it.
Cutoff shoves all in for $500. Everybody else folds, and that's a pretty close spot for me. I gotta call 425 for a pot that has $832. For this call to be profitable, my average equity has to be more than 33%, which if I'm playing against someone that has 2 pair, another person that has a flush draw, I would be crushed here. And I feel like that would be happening pretty often. I don't think cutoff would shove only with a pair. And now let's say the under the gun had something like top pair and no one had the flush draw. Then I would have the exact odds I need, so this call is profitable. But I need to put into account that that's not gonna happen 100% of the times. At least 30% of the times I would be crushed here with around 20% equity. So after putting everything into account, I decided to be patient and let my hand go.
Really close. You too.
You did too?
Anytime you like.
I have 2 drinks.
Super.
The little ones.
It turns out both of them had 2 pair. I would win this hand, but the call would be slightly unprofitable because I would have only 28.53% equity. And I would win, but thinking in the long run, I made a slightly better decision, which is folding. I buy in for 100 more. Next hand I get 5-6 suited from the button. Under the gun +1 raises to 15. Cutoff calls. Cutoff was a woman who was pretty loose. Under the gun wasn't tight as well. So with 5-6 suited, I decided to put up a re-raise to $65 in position. They both fold and I win the hand. This next hand I just joined the table again and I had the option of either just posting or straddling. And I decided to straddle from the cutoff. I think it's a better option and there is a chance button just folds and I play in position versus everybody.
Just let it go, bro.
Button calls, another player calls, and I see king 5 offsuit. I check and we go 3 ways to the flop, which comes king, king, jack, rainbow. They check to me and I check to the button. Button checks back. Turn comes a queen of diamonds. Now there is a flush draw in the board and some open-ended and straight possibilities. I'm gonna bet here. I bet 25. Button quickly re-raises to $50. Limper folds.
Let it go, bro. I didn't see my cards when I said that. Let it go.
And here, there is a slight chance button would already be beating me with hands like ace 10, 10 9, king queen, king jack. But with most of those hands, I see him raising pre-flop. So I think there's a relevant possibility I'm winning here, and I want to extract value from semi-bluff hands such as flush draws, open-ended flush draws, gut shot flush draws, pairs and flush draws. So instead of just calling here, I decide to re-raise and really look at him to see how he reacts to this bet. I re-raise $200. His reaction doesn't provide me any relevant information, and that's usually what's gonna happen, especially if you're playing against people that know what they're doing. But I still think live tells are a really important part of this game, and you really should pay close attention to the players you're playing against and how they react to the cards that come in the board and for them, and when you re-raise them, how they react to it, and etc. He calls, and at this point I don't want to see any diamond, ace, 10 or 9. Thankfully the river comes a queen, and now I have a full house. I quickly shove all in for 275.
Oh, look at the river card. Had him right where I want him, man. Right where I want him.
He seems to be pretty annoyed by the river, so now I realize he was beating me.
I'll fold.
He folds and I win the hand. Afterwards he said he had ace 10. Next hand I have ace 3 suited from the hijack. Early position limps. I raise to $30. Only limper calls, so we go heads up to the flop. Flop comes 5, 6, 7 with 2 hearts. I got a flush draw, gut shot, and 1 over. Limper checks to me. I have a lot of equity in this flop. I see bet $30. He calls. I miss the turn, but this turn favors way more my range than his. He checks again, and I'm gonna bet again. Now I bet $50. He folds, and I win the hand. Next hand I get king jack suited from the middle position. Woman in my right limps before me, as she was usually doing. I raise to 25. Only big blind calls, so we go heads up to the flop, which comes king jack 7 with 2 spades. He checks to me. I see bet 25. He calls. Turn comes a 9 of clubs. Now queen 10 gets there, but there is a pretty big likelihood I'm still winning this hand. And now he leads to $105. Okay, pretty easy call for me here, but now I should be concerned about losing to queen 10 and some sets he might have, especially set of 7s and 9s, because I block set of kings and set of jacks. But I'm gonna call here and analyze the river. River comes an ace, which shouldn't change much for big blind's range, but it does favor way more my range than his though. He checks now, which is a great sign, and now I'm gonna bet for value. I bet $85. I go with a small sizing, and in case he check raises, I'm decided to fold, because I don't think he would do that as a bluff. He folds and we win the hand. Winning around $150 for now, and I see king queen suited from the button. Under the gun raises to 15. I 3-bet to $50, pretty standard. And then under the gun quickly re-raise to 175. I don't love this spot, especially because with king queen suited I'm dominated by many hands in his range, such as ace king, ace queen, aces, kings, queens. I'm flipping versus jacks, 10s, which is fine in position. But I'm gonna call here and hopefully hit a good flop. I don't think 5 betting is a good option, so I call. I miss the flop, jack 8 deuce rainbow with 1 diamond. And now he checks, which is pretty weird. I believe he would see bet most of the flops, especially a dry one like this, jack 8 deuce rainbow. But when he checks, I decide to check back. Turn is another jack. He bets 150 and I fold. Afterwards he showed king 9 suited, so he bluffed me out of this one. Next hand I'm on the button with ace king offsuit. Under the gun raises 15, cutoff calls. Under the gun is the same player from last hand, and I definitely gonna 3-bet here. I 3-bet to $65. Only under the gun plus 1 calls, so we go heads up to the flop, which comes queen 8 deuce with 2 hearts. I have the ace of hearts. He checks to me. I'm gonna c-bet. I c-bet 55, around 1/3 of the pot, and he folds. Playing for a little more than 3 hours, winning around $170. Next hand I'm in the cutoff with pocket deuces, button straddles 10, 2 limpers, and here analyzing my image inside this table, I believe my best option is only to flat instead of raise, but raising is fine as well, especially considering that button will fold pretty often here, and I decided to raise, but just calling would be fine as well. So I raise 55, button folds, only player in the early position calls, so we go heads up to the flop, which comes Jack 8-3 rainbow, pretty dry one. He checks to me and I'm gonna c-bet. I c-bet little more than 2/3 of the pot. Decided to c-bet higher this time. If he calls, I just gonna turn it off. And he doesn't call, but he re-raises me to 250. So I fold, he wins the hand, and now my profit goes to $15. I buy in for 100 more. Next hand I see ace-5 suited from the button, low jack, high jack, and cutoff limps. I'm definitely gonna raise here with this hand. I raise to 35, low jack and high jack call, so 3 players see the flop. Flop comes 5-5-7 with 2 hearts. Great flop for us. They check to me and I'm gonna keep betting. I see bet $40, 1/3 of the pot. Only low jack calls. We go heads up to the turn, which comes a complete blank. This card shouldn't change nothing. He checks to me again, and I'm gonna bet again. Now I bet $100, around half pot, targeting hands like pocket pairs, pair of sevens, maybe even trips, which is pretty unlikely because I have a 5, but it's possible. Unfortunately, low jack folds, and we win the hand. Next hand, I'm in the small blind with pocket queens, 2 limpers. I raise to 35. Could have done a little bigger here, like 40. Big blind, low jack, and cutoff call. So 4 players see the flop. Flop is a horrible one. Ace 10 deuce, all spades. I don't have any spade in my hand. I check, pretty much giving up on the hand. Big blind bets $50. Only cutoff calls and I fold. Next hand I'm in the small blind with 7-6 suited. Under the gun raises 25. High jack and cutoff calls. Under the gun is Noah that I showed you guys on last episode. He's a viewer of this channel, and I'm pretty confident he believes my range here is gonna be pretty strong if I 3-bet. So I decide to do so. I 3-bet to $130. I believe it's worth mentioning that in this hand I could be being a little impatient, but still I believe it's pretty okay to 3-bet this hand, especially knowing that Noah knows who I am and knows I wouldn't be messing around so often from the small blind here. Only Noah from the under the gun calls, so we go heads up to the flop. And the flop comes 7-8-8. I see bet to 150. I will be happy if I find a fold from him. But that's not what happens. He puts me all in for 590 total. I gotta call 440 for a pot that has 1055. For this call to be profitable, my average equity has to be around 33%, which against over pairs, it will not be any close to that, because only the 7 makes me win against over pairs. So I decide to fold. Noah shows me pocket jacks afterwards, and very well played, my friend. I buy in for 200 more. Next and last hand of this episode, I see pocket queens from the hijack. Early position raises 20. I 3-bet 65. Only early position calls, so we go heads up to the flop, which is a great one. 10-5-4 rainbow. I'm losing only 2 sets. He checks to me. I see bet 75 and he calls. Turn comes a 4. Great card for me. Now it's way less likely for him to have a set of 4s, and I'm very likely to be winning this hand. He checks to me again. He has 230 total in his stack, so I put him all in. He quickly calls. I show the queens. Turn is a pretty bad one, an ace of diamonds, but turns out he didn't need it that turn because he had set of 5s and he wins the hand.
Yeah, because I knew how you play all that. You've been doing this shit. I know I'm gonna get you.
I believe that's something that is worth mentioning. It is not rare to see players mad to me inside the tables. And man, I try to be a polite guy, nice guy inside the tables. But what happens is because I'm aggressive and players don't like that. But there's one tip for you guys. If people start to dislike you at the table because you're aggressive, I really think that's a good sign. When I played in Chicago 1-2, I was rarely liked at the table, really. Like, I actually felt bad a little bit at that time about that. Now I just know that poker is a competitive game and players, especially the mediocre players, take things personally. And that's an example of a guy that took things personally, and whatever, man, like I'm actually happy for him that he won, because just by seeing someone reacting when winning a pot like this, I already see that he's probably not profitable and he probably loses money through the long run. And one thing, don't be this player. Second thing, if you see people kind of disliking you because you're too aggressive, that's actually a good sign in my opinion. And yeah, we lose this one. Yeah guys, seems like we can't win in Tampa.
Still gonna try tomorrow though. I still have 5 days here, but I was planning to play only Sunday. Maybe I change my plans and stay more because the field here is good. There's a lot of money to be made here. The problem is that, man, the cards are not helping. I'm not playing my best too. I'm not gonna be lying to you guys and saying that I'm playing perfectly because I'm not. But I feel like I should shove there. And yeah, we're going through a downswing. I was going through an upswing before, so yeah, like I'm losing 2,200 in 2 sessions. And let's see what happens tomorrow.
I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. The mission of this channel is helping you become a better poker player, and see you next time.